and the Indian National Academy of Engineering Bhubaneswar chapter, I warmly welcome you all to the celebration of National Technology Day 2025. This day celebrates India's technological achievements and inspires us to save the future through innovation. Let's begin today's proceedings by inviting our esteemed dignitaries to light the ceremonial lamp, which symbolizes the illumination of knowledge and wisdom. I kindly invite our director, Professor Sripad Karmalkar. Please do come for lighting the lamp. Our chief guest, Dr. Binay, Director General, Electronic and Communication System, DRDO. Chairman INTE, Foundation Chapter, Professor Damodar Acharya. Professor Radhananda Pandey. Professor Shubhranshu Ranjan Samantrai. Convener, Professor Vijay Krishna Kari. Now it is my privilege to extend a cordial invitation to our esteemed dignitaries to kindly grace their stage and occupy their respective seats. We request our students to present saplings as a welcome gift to our guests. I now invite Professor Sripad Karmalkar, Director of IIT Bhubaneswar, to deliver the welcome address and share his thoughts on the significance of National Technology Day 2025.
So, dignitaries on the dais, and I just want to take a poll. How many of you are from outside IIT? That is, you don't belong to IIT. So, if I understand, they are all from NICER. So, special welcome to those who are from outside IIT. And how many of you have come to IIT for the first time? There are a few hands. Okay, so another special welcome to all of them. And I hope you will come on other occasions also. It is my pleasure to share a few thoughts on this National Technology Day. As you know, technology has revolutionized our lives. If you take the world which was 100 years ago and consider the world today, if it is different, it is because of technology. So technology has also changed the social relationships. If today we see more women coming out and participating in various activities along with men, the foremost reason for this is technology. If you think carefully and deeply, you will find this is the major reason. The changes in or reforms in society that have come about have been led by technology. Now, what is technology really? So we can define technology as processing of information, energy, so as to get a product. And if this processing involves stringent conditions and the product that you get is of high performance and much higher reliability, then you call this technology as high technology, or today you use the word deep technology. For example, semiconductor is a high technology because you process, energy, information, material. So you process material in semiconductor technology. And what you see today's world, if it is so different than the world 50 years ago, it's one of the major reasons is the semiconductor technology. The invention of the transistor. But the advantage you get after you invest in maintaining stringent processing conditions. You want to make semiconductor devices, for example, you have to have a very clean air, very clean water, very clean gases, sophisticated equipment, material should be single crystal, and so on. So, in fact, it will be a very interesting exercise to look at the spectrum of technologies and classify these in a scientific manner. Broadly, you can divide the technology at 3 levels. That is components level, systems level, and then information level. Okay. So, if you take information technology, India is doing fairly well. India also exports software. If you take systems level, it is doing fine, though not as much as at the software level. We have built satellites, right? We have sent a satellite to the moon recently. And the example of, let's say, BrahMos missile playing its role in the recent unfortunate conflict is also an example of systems level technological advancement. The third level is the components level. This level, however, we are not as strong as we should be. And that is one of the areas that we need to strengthen. So why is the components level technology, what is the difficulty with the components level technology? Much of the components and technology is materials oriented technology. It has to do with materials. And unless you understand how the materials behave thoroughly, you cannot build components. That is why much of the chips, semiconductor chips that we use in our systems level, satellite, supercomputer, whatever you call, these are majority of these are imported. Majority of these are imported. So this is one area where we really have to strengthen. The countries which are leading in this area are those which have worked on materials for a long time. It has just so happened that when the rest of the world was working on materials and developing their knowledge about this, we were under a foreign rule, and therefore our research was not properly guided. We to some extent got disconnected. So that is what I would like to say, that we need to strengthen components level technology if we want to be among the countries which are leaders in technology. I think with these few words, I welcome you again, all of you, and let us look forward to the talk by our chief speaker. Just before I came, I was asking him about the story of the BrahMos missile. I hope he will repeat the story for all of us, at least for a few minutes what is all about it. Thank you.
I invite Professor Subhranshu Ranjan Samantrai to speak about the Indian National Academy of Engineering and the Bhubaneswar chapter's role. Please, sir.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Distinguished dignitaries at the dais and off the dais. Today's attraction, the keynote speaker, the Director General of ECS Cluster DRDO, one of the distinguished scientists of this country, Dr. Binay, Professor Damodar Acharya, the ex-director of IIT Kharagpur and the chairman of INA Bhubaneswar chapter, Professor Sripad Karmalkar, director of IIT Bhubaneswar, Professor Radhakant Padi, professor and one of the great scientists of this country, Science Bangalore. We have Dr. Vijay Krishna, the PhD of this institute, PhD seminar. Delegates, the students, the research scholars, the faculty members of this institute and from Niger's or other institutes. Distinguished INA fellows, Professor Ghosh, Director Niger, Professor P.K. Misra, ex-Director IIT Kharagpur and other IIT Goa, and the distinguished visiting Professor of IIT Bhubaneswar. We have Professor Mahanti, one of the distinguished professors of this country in Arthur, Professor Govt Panda, the ex-director, deputy director of this institute. Professor P.K. Misra, sitting with us, spent a good amount of time with us. Thank you very much for joining this program. One of the fourth program that we are conducting since last 1 week from the mandate of Technology Day from Indian National Academy of Engineering. I will throw some lights on Indian Academy of Engineering, established in 1987, 38 years back. It includes most of the distinguished engineers and scientists as fellows and members, covering all spectrums of engineering and applications. INA functions as an apex body and promotes the practice of engineering technology and the related sciences for their application to solve problems of national importance. The Academy also provides forum for futuristic planning for country's development, requiring engineering and technological input, and brings together specialists from different fields, looking at the emerging needs of this country time to time. Also, INA looks forward for devising policy and recommendations on different verticals of engineering applications in this country. Academy of Engineering promotes research projects, pilot studies, engineering education, fellowships, scholarships, identifying people who are really igniting different verticals of engineering and similar research and innovation. INA identifies very distinguished persons, scientists, engineers of this country as fellows. Now, right now, we have almost 1,000 fellows sitting in India and 100 fellows from out of this country. Even though they are of different origin, they are identified by INA and they have some sorts of contribution to this country. So we have almost 1,100 fellows together from INA. We identify people who are at the age of 35 called young associates. We believe these people can take forward this research innovation to a larger extent. Recently, INA has devised a method to identify members and associate members across this country from different disciplines of engineering to really create a platform which can address the issues that we are discussing. So out of knowledge creation, translation and dissemination, these are three verticals comes together when we start from the thinking to a product. So to create a platform of new knowledge dissemination, INA thought 5 to 6 years back to establish chapters at different localities. So by that process, INA is coming very close to people. So we have almost 10 society chapters, which are in Pune, Bangalore, Kharagpur, Delhi, Mumbai. So Bhubaneswar chapter established in 2020 under the able leadership of Professor Acharya. And this chapter is engaged in various activities of new knowledge disseminations. We have already completed 60 keynote lectures, drawing eminent speakers during the last couple of years in different fields. And INA has collaborated with IIT Bhubaneswar, SO University, we have IUMT, we have ICT, IUC, then we have IEEE Bhubaneswar section, which is one of the largest platform for knowledge dissemination and translation. So INA Bhubaneswar chapter is engaged in different verticals of requirements of engineering applications, and we are looking forward to do something more in future. This is to another achievement of this chapter is that we have conducted the Apex one of the Apex activity of INA called INA Convention. So in 2023, we conducted INA Convention. This is the top event of INA, and where we have AGMs, we have many activities. So we conducted for 3 days. This is one of the very benchmarking event that we conducted at INA Bhubaneswar chapter, which has been well appreciated by INA. So INA really brings people for technology development. We are going to witness Professor Dr. Binay. What we are seeing at the border, diffusing the counters, possibly it is under the umbrella of Dr. Das, who is heading almost 8 labs, and all the electronic systems are passing through his window. So thank you very much for joining us today. And I can tell you here, he is one of the person who has contributed to the 23,000 crore export duty from DRDO or defense to outside. India is now exporting almost 23,000 crore, which is really a fact to celebrate. And scientists like Dr. Das has contributed immensely to this endeavor. Thank you very much for joining this talk. We have organized 4 talks, this is the last one, and I strongly believe the attendees will definitely find a big footprint out of all the discussions, and they will have a larger takeaway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for these insightful words. To take us through this journey of National Technology Day lecture series in Bhubaneswar, I welcome Professor Damodar Acharya Sir, Chairman INAE Bhubaneswar chapter, to share his thoughts.
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath.
And very hearty welcome to this National Technology Day lecture. We have to this lecture, I welcome all the participants here who are present, and there are many who are actually listening to this lecture online, thanks to the technology. So I am really very happy to say that the INA Bhubaneswar chapter, which is one of the youngest chapter of our INA, has been given the responsibility of conducting the National Technology Day in a befitting manner. So, for this lecture, we really organized 4 different lectures in 4 institutions and these institutions are all helping INA Bhubaneswar chapter to whatever that actually we have done so far. As our Professor Subhranshu Samantarai told that we have conducted almost 60 lectures by very eminent experts, not only from India but also from abroad, and all of them are actually recorded. They are available on YouTube. Anybody actually who will be interested to listen to them, we will be very happy to share this thing, and even they are also available with INE headquarters, Delhi. And also we conducted the National Annual Convention of INE in a very grand way in Bhubaneswar. I think on recognition of all these things, INE headquarters have asked us to conduct this National Technology Day lectures. Now, as you know, National Technology Day is celebrated to commemorate the Pokhran blast in 1998, and that was the first demonstration of technologies in a meaningful way, which brought actually a lot of laurels to this country, and that was, and this, the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he declared that it should be National Technology Day, and that is what actually we are commemorating now. So here I am really very happy to say that the 4 lectures which we have conducted, the first one is related to the atomic energy and its peaceful use, and this was actually given by Dr. A.K. Tyagi. He is the head of Homi Bhabha National Institute of the DRC, and his title was Sustainable Development Role of Nuclear Science and Technology. In fact, he very elaborately showed us that how nuclear science and technology is affecting our life in every field, and we are able to achieve the sustainable development goal of the nation. The next one was given by Padma Shri Dr. Kota Harinarayan, former Vice Chancellor of University of Hyderabad, and he conceived the very concept of actually this light combat aircraft, and he was the chief designer and architect of this. And his talk was on application of AI in aircraft design. The third one was given by none other than Dr. V. Narayanan, who is the chairman of ISRO and Secretary Space. And his talk was Indian Space Program, Pride of the Nation, and it was conducted in Niger, Bhubaneswar. And the last one, that is today's lecture, the speaker will be Dr. Binay Das, Director General, Electronics and Communication System, DRDO, and he is going to talk about futuristic defense technology. Can India become world leader? I think from all these lectures, actually you will understand actually a common thread in some of the areas where India has shown its actually technological might, including whether it is nuclear science or it is the design, and also whether it is the space, and of course the last one actually being the technological might that we are showing, and that is related to the defense thing. And all these things have been very amply demonstrated in recent, India-Pakistan conflict, all of them, and therefore I think this is the right thing to do to demonstrate actually what the technology has done and what is actually we are doing. Of course, many times we only say that when there is a success, we say that is actually success of the science. But when there is a failure, we say it is the technical failure of technology. But I think that things should really change, and we are definitely doing exceedingly well in technology development and progress in the society. Thank you very much. Today we will now listen to, I think Professor Radhakantapadi will come to introduce our esteemed speaker, that is Dr. Binay Kumar Das. Thank you very much.
My turn now. Good afternoon, everyone. The dignitaries on the dais, Professor Acharya from my home for several years, and Dr. Das, Professor Gamal, and very young fellow Professor Subramsu, and every dignitaries on the dais, some of them I know very closely. I am Professor Radhakantapadi here. I came from Bangalore, and I actually work in the Department of Aerospace Engineering and also cyber-physical systems. Having said that, I also hold a small position here in Centurion University, which is stones throw away. It's just about 2-3 kilometers from here. That's where normally I stay. I see some couple of people here from Centurion as well. So this is my introduction. And of course, it's a great honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Das. And my story, some of the common things we share as well, a little bit common, not too much, but one of the common things that we share is being impromptu as much as possible. So I try to maintain that you don't read it too much here. As far as I know, I will see, and then whatever is given, I will just try to kind of compensate and see, make sure that I don't miss anything.
Request a short
Short only. I know. All right, Dr. Das happens to be our alumni from the same institute that we graduated together. Not together, he graduated much before me, but I didn't know that fact for a long time. I mean, my introduction to him came much later, even though I happened to work on missile program heavily. I mean, I actually was part of DRDO for a year where I worked in Agni guidance. And also after joining IIC, I happened to work on Agni, Program ID, Astra and things like that. And each and every missile has to go to his lab, ITR, to get tested. But having said that, we are kind of Hyderabad then. So we just come from Bangalore to Hyderabad and go back. So only one time I made sure that I go to Chandipur. I actually came to Chandipur as well. But that time the missile did not fly. There was a program ready part of it, so it flew after a couple of days. But then I had something inside to kind of return back empty-handed. Anyway, so that's the story there. But I was actually doing a program in Centurion about 2018-19 that we were looking for some eminent speaker to kind of come here and then talk us, educate us a little more. And after some roundabout and things like that, I happened to know that Dr. Das is our own person sitting here, and then we are missing him out. So I somehow got his number. I mean, then I called him, and then immediately the connection was set. And it took no time, about just a call or something, just a very quick thing, so that he agrees that okay, this date is compatible. But don't expect me to talk formally. I will just talk impromptu. And that is where I could see his impromptu skill for the first time, and I got very impressed. And whenever he asked me how do I talk, I thought impromptu. That's my thing. Anyway, so the more I know about him, the more curious I become. Because he's not just a bright and brilliant and hardworking scientist who can not only work hard but motivate 1,000 other people along with him, but he can also enjoy each and every festival day of our country and then enjoy with people. That means on Diwali or Holi is there. Okay? And this is all everything that kind of drives people along. That is what we need in big organizations like DRDO. But don't mistake it when it comes to the actual work. And then I've seen him once as well in connection with our project that we recently got it. He'll talk about it as well. And Director of Energy for Weapon System, we got some nice project with about 5 faculties for 5 years all that. He gave me okay, here for 10 minutes, I don't have time. So within 10 minutes I have to talk about it. So that entire story I could somehow manage in 10 minutes. And then it was, yeah, everything was good, but we are not going to go away. Every minutes of meeting has to be prepared right away. Until then, you are here and then that will be prepared that day only and then you okay. So that means the action from his table doesn't stop. I mean, it doesn't become a file after that. Action needs to be taken on the spot. That's what I like him, or his managerial skills very much. Anyway, the formal part of it, Dr. Vikilas is currently the distinguished scientist, all of us know about it. For the director, he is the Director General of something called Invisible Directorate. Let me tell you that also. There are some visible directorates there in DRDO, they're called DG Aero for some. All them, their drones, they fly. Everybody can see. And missiles can fly, DGMSs, right? Missiles and systems and all that. So everybody can see. But behind the scenes, which cannot be seen in naked eyes, but without that, no war can be fought. And that is what the EC is all about. Electronics and communication system, they are the backbone of the entire thing. Even I can talk about BrahMos and Akash and all that. But behind the scene, what actually worked very tremendously and tirelessly is actually the ECS system. And he is going to talk a lot about it hopefully today. So he is instrumental in developing complex radar systems, electronic warfare systems, software-defined radios, electro-optics for various platforms, directed energy weapon systems for non-conventional warfare. And also remember, the future warfare is all about the smartness and then war of economy, all that is also can be to talk about today. And going back a little bit, what is not written here as well, like he has been quite a brilliant scientist, by brilliant student as well. So he was GATE 99.97 percentile. I came to know today. From there onwards. And then we talk about this class topper. I mean the entire student topper in Bulla as well, Kharagpur as well, Masters, PhD, Best Thesis Award, and also what not except. There was a time when Dr. Kalam used to get kind of very jittery that he is not the person who is going to stay in DRDO. But look at him, he has not only stayed DRDO but enabled DRDO. Alright, so moving on, he has done several things for his contribution in defense technology. He has number of national and international awards. He has got 12 patents, more than 200 publications, and of course 4 more patents are got awarded last year. He has got 2 doctorate of honorary doctorates, one from BPUD right here, the other one is from Amity. Hopefully many more will come. And then he is, as Subran also told, he is quite a bit passionate about getting industry, academia and DRDO together. And that's what this DIS centers are all about. And he is continuing, his energy is boundless actually, limitless. I mean, he is one of the scientists, very top-ranked scientists. Never gets, never stops in, when I give a SMS to him, or WhatsApp to him, immediately the response comes immediately. I don't know how many scientists say they must be responding. So that is the type of energy that we see. And each and every festival, I think on behalf of him, I will rather invite all of you to join him wherever possible. And in fact, I have been inviting him to give talks in IIC Bangalore. So he has not been finding time for that. So I told, okay, if you are not finding time, then wherever you are giving talk, I will go there. So that is how that is one of the good motivations for me, not to miss his talk. I mean, this is one serious thing I can talk about very confidently. You see the energy level, see the person level, see the number of slides, also the flow of slides, and then obviously this is, I will say, the climax of the entire event coming up now. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, esteemed Professor, Director of IIT Bhubaneswar, Professor Karmakar, all the excellent professors of these great institutes of international eminence. And I'm very fortunate to deliver something in front of 2 of my friend professors, Professor Ganapati Panda and Professor Mishra. And it's a very rare opportunity for a student to speak in front of his teachers because lifelong we listen to the teachers. So today it is other way around. And of course, all the faculties, Professor Radhakan Padi, I will settle my innings with you in Bangalore. And of course, all the loving students of this institute and Niger and all along. It's a great honor for me to be here and speak a few things about the topic. Prior to that, actually wherever I go, I speak less, I learn more. And thank you so much for giving us a bit of learning. There are a few things I learned here. One of the occasions is, there was no sense and I was so concerned that nobody should stand. In fact, it was itching me that the guys are standing, and when you stand, you start moving around here and there, and then it's difficult for a speaker to speak. And thank you so much, sir, that you could make it happen, put them together. Second thing was that offer was given that the children, many people came to this side. I was nicely observing that. And then they said, okay, before I get the chair, the stairs are on. Then I found the people stepping back. Okay, few are dare enough to come forward. They are the soldiers actually for which we win every war. I will tell you why. The man who comes first to the front to fight is the winner. And they are those people. And the third thing I learned is, actually when some of the professors left the chair and went and prepared to sit in the stairs, due regards to other professors, it's not a question of others didn't want to. It's all the drive which comes in, which pulls you out to show what is the best I can do in the current situations, and you prefer to do that. Actually, they are the youngest guys actually across. That child in them does not allow them to sit in the chair, and that's why they prefer to be on the stage. So that's a few things which I learned about, and at the same time, Professor Patti spoke about actually. I really don't know what all you spoke about, and further scared is your director when he says, first time the hall is full. I really don't know if I have with a very high king size expectations. I am not up to that, let me confess it from the beginning. But at the same time, I try not to disappoint you either. The fact here is, we are together for something. For the next few minutes, we are there to jointly venture something. I remember the title which Professor Damodar Acharya read it out, Futuristic Defense Technology, Can India Become a World Leader? That is what had come to me actually. I don't know from where it was spread, maybe from my office or somebody. And I had my liberty to change the title. There is no question that can India become the world leader, so I changed it, the Futuristic Defense Technology, India towards becoming a world leader. We are, and we are going to be soon the world's #1 in the technology, and with that, let me confess something before I forget. When I sat in the director's chamber, he asked me one question, that if you are covering this topic, then don't answer me now, otherwise you have to answer me now. That is, we are all curious to know about Brahmas. And I am an emotional speaker, and I know I never prefer slides. And today morning also about some 2 hours talk I gave somewhere. It was internal to talk like that, and I can speak for hours, for the days, for the months, if at least one guy is there sitting to listen to me. But the problem for me to speak with the slides, because the whole reason is your entire thing gets कैद हो जाता है स्क्रीन में. तो इसलिए मैं थोड़ा अवॉइड करना चाहता हूँ, बट यहाँ it was a formal talk, so I thought I'm in front of so many professors, I can't play around, so I thought let me be safe to have some slides. So that's why there are some slides. I know what I will talk and where slides will go. Please pardon me if I'm going talking something and slides is something else. Slides will be available anywhere. That's not. None of the slides are so creative that I have made everything myself. I would have also read from somewhere and made it. But what is more important for you to listen to what I speak. I think that's all. Let us focus it about. So I thought, before I forget, because I requested 2 of the professors remind me, because it is director, IIT's order that I must touch BrahMos, and in the flow of the event, if I forget it, then he's going to kill me. So I thought, let me first complete that. There is a difference, before I speak, let me tell you, Professor, director, when he spoke, he asked you questions, right? How many are from IITs? How many are not from IITs? How many are from IITs? Because he's a professor. Professor has the right to ask questions, and scientist has the right to receive questions. So I will not ask you any questions. At the end, you remind me, if anybody has got any doubt, a couple of questions you can ask me about, okay? So let me tell you about BrahMos, because I know so much of you are talking about BrahMos. I know why, you also know why. So let me not tell the story, I'll just quickly tell you what BrahMos is about, because I have to restrict my talk to maximum 1 hour and try to say before that, otherwise I'm going to miss the flight. So, the fact is very clear. BrahMos is an Indo-Russian joint venture program. Of course, all these are available in the native community also, but what I am going to tell you is something a little different. India started as a global missile power with Dr. Kalam spearheading that called IGMDP, you all know it, Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. Agni Prithvi Akash Nag Mission, where we started the journey. When I was there as part of that journey, where India didn't even know how to make a missile. The very first missile which we got was from Russia. I don't know whether you guys know it. That's what is called Devil missile. It was a very, very fundamental, well-guided missile, hardly traveling to any distance. But I always start my talk, if it is a missile talk, it's about Devil, because Devil is our guru. Don't go with the name. The missile itself has certain basic technologies through which we started unpacking that entire missile, disintegrating that missile, and to learn how a missile is made. And from them, IGMDP. Lots of things we learned out of that. The propulsion, the airframe, the MIS, the military, the IMEOs we talk about, the GPS, the OBCs, all those concepts we started learning through that. And then as the days progressed forward, we thought, India was making all these missiles, whether it's surface-to-air missiles, I think you know all of them, Agni you know, Prithvi you know all of them, you are aware of. We thought, why can't we make a cruise missile? What is a cruise missile? I think that also you will be knowing. Any missile which goes up to come down, right? That's the basic parabola projected motion which you people are right. So if it has to go up and come down, it is a conventional missile. If you attack any country with a missile, it is going to hit the country. But is it that simple? If that be so, all the missiles should have hit the different countries. It doesn't happen so, because every country has got a preparedness to save it. That is called ballistic missile defense. They will have the radars are going to check the missiles if they are coming, and then they track the missile, then they get the coordinates, and then they fire the interceptor, it's all over. So if that is so, though no missile is ever launched to be over and exploded in the mid-sky, right? It has to go and reach its destination. How do we do that? Essentially, such missiles which we fly, they go up. As they go up, radars can track. Always our solution lies in physics. You know the radar works with a line of sight. And if there is a radar which has to track, it has to track only when the zero elevation comes in. If a missile is fired from a distant country, by the time the radar reaches zero elevation, it would have already gained its height, right? Because of the curvature of the earth. As it goes forward, you will be killed because radar will track. Can we design a missile which can deceive the radar? How will you do that? The theory is simple. If the missile does not climb, right? Because if it climbs, radar is going to notice. Like a snake, if you can go, nobody can see. You are the winner. That's exactly what is the theory of a cruise missile.
I have a question, sir.
Huh?
I have a question. Recently, we have done Operation Sindoor. Was it justifiable?
I'll come to that. Good question. Wonderful question.
Again, this is a political question.
I think all of you, please reserve your questions to the end.
Remember your question.
Let us
Keep
not
it.
interrupt the speaker.
But I'll come back to your question. Don't worry. I love questions. I already told you. I'll answer. Okay. Now let us come to where I was. So I was just trying to introduce why BrahMos. So we want to make a cruise missile. The cruise missile is first you listen to my questions. I'll answer your questions. Okay. So it takes up, then it takes an absolutely 90-degree turn, 14.7 kilometers, and it continues for hundreds of kilometers. So 14.7 kilometers with hundreds of kilometers. If you draw a triangle, you are all super duper brain, much powerful than me. That angle will be very, very less. Since the angle becomes less from a long distance, your radars gets blind. That's the reason the world works with cruise missile defense. That is BrahMos all about. So we wanted to make BrahMos. Now why BrahMos? BrahMos is basically a combination of two rivers. One is Brahmaputra, which is of India, and one is Moskova, which is a river of Moscow, Russia. So we cut Bra from there and Mos from here, and we combined together to make it called BrahMos, just to give respect to both the rivers of both the countries. Wonderful. I love the smiles when you have that. So we continue with that. And then what we thought is we start a company, it is called BrahMos Aerospace, so it's a 50.5% share of India and 49.5% of Russia, so that it's slightly tilted towards India. With that we run the show. And whatever our best part of technology we pumped into this missile, whatever the best of Russia they pumped into this missile, and together we made BrahMos. Okay? That time BrahMos range was 290 kilometers. There is a reason behind it, because there was an international treaty that less than 300, you can't cross 300 kilometers for the missile, so we wanted to restrict it to 290. But the BrahMos capability was far more superior, and we later on started extending the range with capabilities, and today BrahMos touches nearly 800 kilometers. Now comes to the fact that the BrahMos was on land, then we changed it to ship, and finally we planned BrahMos from air. That was the most challenging one, and I must tell you, I was there in ITR all throughout, but when I was director ITR, the responsibility of the chief of test trains is on every missile which you test there. And I still remember the palpitation when first time Su-30 was carrying BrahMos and the test I was conducting. The idea is very simple. The aircraft is going to do a cold release of BrahMos. See, BrahMos is hung below the aircraft wing. That is called station. From there it releases. When it releases, it is a cold release. Cold release means there is no ignition. You just throw it. As you throw it, after some time the ignition has to happen automatically. Imagine the situation. And as the ignition happens, the BrahMos has to pitch up. Because it is reference zero. It has to pitch up, gain that height, and then go forward. Imagine the Su-30 is releasing, cold launch has happened. Imagine for a moment that the ignition does not happen. Then what happens? Entire BrahMos fall on the ground and it's an explosion. And second thing, if it ignites and goes up and Su-30 is crossing, you are imagining that situation. So what a criticality we handled. It is vibrant in my mind now when I was at the control and we were trying to test fire these missiles. And to the thrill of all of us, it was a beautiful cold release, super ignition. Su-30 had to have it absolutely way back with a high maneuver, and missile has flown across its destinations. That's where India became a superpower, with BrahMos as the first airborne versions to be tested at IDR, and that is the one which was utilized in recent missions called Operation Sindoor. Okay? One other thing I wanted to cover before. Yeah. If you look at today, why are we looking at India? There was a time when India was looked down. Indians are the people who don't know much of the technology. Indians are the people who want to borrow the systems to test the missiles. Morning I was explaining my narration in OUTR that in 22nd May, that was yesterday, 22nd May 1989, I don't know how many of you remember, that was the day when the first Agni was launched from India and I was there, AE-01. And that time all the systems are borrowed systems. From borrowed nation, today we have become a nation of superpowers with all the kind of technologies in a journey of 35 years. Today the test range has got all its instrumentations on its own and all the technologies on its own and the missiles on its own, radars of its own and every systems on its own. That is the transformation of India happened in last 3 decades, friends. It's only because of not only DRDO, industries, academia, startups, MSMEs and 1.4 billion people's hope that we were able to reach where we are today. The journey has just started. The journey has just started for a very simple reason. Defense opportunities are going in the next 10 years to $138 billion. I heard statistics, figures देखने से, but बर्दाश्त करिएगा थोड़ी देर के लिए क्योंकि this shows how India is going to be a roaring power. Aerospace sector alone is $26 billion US. We have a huge target for defense export. I wish to tell you friends, today India is becoming a very, very strong economy. Today India is going to be a global economic power, not just because we are stopping import. More important is we are accelerating our export. And with the popularity which BrahMos has gained, popularities which Akash has gained recently, especially as missile, with the popularity which anti-drone systems have gained recently, you can see how the West is a pain and how the world is a thrill that how much of the systems they can buy from India. Today, India, if it is going forward as a great country to go to the next systems, we have all this because we have got a strong technology. We have got the foreign direct investments which is pumping up from 49% to 74%. We have got huge defense domestic production now. There was a time everything we were importing abroad, right from a missile up to a tank, up to aircrafts, up to systems. Today, our entire domestic defense production has scaled up from 54% to 75%. You understand this figure is phenomenal for a country. 3/4 of the defense requirement is being produced out of the country. It is only 1/4 which is going for import, and probably sooner we are going to close that gap. We are the 3rd highest military spender still. This is a very, very scary situation because India wants to spend money, but more domestic market is a great economy, less than international market, power comes in. We had a 10-fold increase in exports, just to give you some figures. In 13-14, we are only 686 crores. And imagine today, we are 21,083 crores. If you look at the percentage, look at the multiplication factor with which Indian power is exporting. That shows the roaring future Indian economy. Our 85 countries were exporting, 100 firms are involved in defense exports, so on and so forth. So now, if you look at the military expenditure, I have already told you the figures, and defense exports, if you see what a kind of a figure it is. Look at particularly from 2021 till now, the kind of a steep rise in import. See, import is not just the money. Import is the trust of others on our technology power. That is what is a great sign for any country to grow in future. And that happens because of the technology odyssey which we are carrying forward today. Having said that, we are one of those generations who are so lucky to see 2 live wars continuing. You know both of them, at least there are many, but the most important one is the Russia-Ukraine and the other one is the Israeli and Gaza. If you look at them, you will understand the entire warfare is changing today. If you look at the past, it was a muscular fight with the muscles. Then it was a fight with the tanks and ammunitions. Then probably came the fight with the missiles. Then came the technology war, which is very prevalent for today's day's function. National Technology Day. You understand the meaning of it. 11th May 1998, I think Professor has already said. I'll tell you a very small story before I come back to this topic. I was in IT at that time, of course. मेरे से ज़्यादा आपको पता होगा क्योंकि कोई मूवी रिलीज हुआ था जिसमें आपने देखा होगा पूरा कहानी. It was a reality. Of course, it was depicted in a filmy manner in that movie. When this was done, this was one of the top secret missions where everybody was in its different incarnation there, and the trial was going on. And to defuse the trial, which was happened in Pokhran, I was there in ITR where we are conducting a missile trial there. One Trishul missile was fired on the same day, so that the entire focus shifts to ITR, and that's the time we conduct this trial. That was the whole reason behind the trial. I think that's what was depicted. I had seen that movie. And with that, when we had that huge Pokhran blast, the name of that program was Mission Shakti. I think you are all familiar with that. Because India has become a power. India has become a global power, a nuclear power, and a power so much recognizes that the world will be scared to look at India. And that's the reason probably so many years we are celebrating, so much so which is going on technology. And that is where India won the war, a war of technology. We have made Agni 5,000 kilometers. We have made ballistic missile defense. We have made air defense program. We have made so many programs today. But it's not that all these missiles we are launching every day. Then why do we make such missiles? Strength commands strength. You have to show your power. To show the power, power lies in technology. And that is the reason all of those technologies are demonstrated when the time is ripe enough and when that particular technology was to be shown. Professor Padi was disappointed that when I was director of ITR, he came and the missile was not launched. We don't launch missiles to show the professors. We launch missiles to show the eminence of technology which India has, and when the time is ripe enough, the missile takes off. And that's the reason till now, all those technologies which we have shown, to show to the world map, here is a roaring country called India who is leading the Indian technology war. But having said so, again the war definition has changed friends. Now from technology war, we have graduated to something called the war of economics. I'll tell you why it is called the war of economics, when especially it is Russia-Ukraine. Nobody thought the Russia-Ukraine war can continue beyond a week. Because Ukraine is a small country and hardly can defend anything of Russia, and probably it will all be over. But imagine the third year, fourth year, it's still running. It is running because it is a power of economy. Which country can afford how much? You launch a missile, the other guy launches another missile, you launch something, the other guy counterattacks. This continues. But this is not decide who is going to win, who is going to lose. Practically both the countries are depleting in their economy because they are losing missiles after missiles. Of course, still how Ukraine is sustaining, all of you know. I can tell it on this public platform. But the fact still remains that if we can have certain systems which can countercut all the attack missiles which comes, yet we don't lose our missiles, yet we don't lose our economy, that is called the war of wisdom of winning of economy. You must have seen, if you look at the lessons learned from the Ukraine war, one of the most important was the cyber attack. That is called the Fox Blade. It is made of the Trojan horse. It is so simple. You just create a small code and you start doing it and you defunct the entire software of the other countries. That's called the cyber attack. There is another one very, very important, which is called the tiny drone war. You know, the huge monsters of Russian tanks became defunct with a top attack drone because no tank was ever prepared for an attack from the top. Tank is a projectile device. We attack face to face. We never prepare for an attack from the top. So the tiny drones can create nuisance to the gigantic tanks. It shows that it's the tactics which wins over technology. It is the mind which is win over power to win the war. That's the war of the future, friends. And why I'm triggering all that to this young mind is essentially to learn these lessons from Gaza, from Ukraine, how the entire AI system controls, how the entire software controls, how the simple cracking of cyber controls, and these days people win the war even without launching a single missile. That's the kind of a sequence which has happened in these days, and if you are preparing our country for the futuristic war, friends, this is broadly the scenario where we look at. No doubt tanks are still there, missiles are still there, but if you look at these slides, probably every single technology is depicted here. Today, a missile comes to you to attack. How do you protect yourself? Through your radars, right? Because your radars will track the missiles and then they will launch the counter missiles. Now the attack happens to the radar. That is what is called anti-radiation missiles, which India has already developed called NGRM, New Generation Anti-Radiation Missile. So what they do, whenever a radar comes tracking you, your missile attacks the radar first to destroy the complete air defense of the country. How it does it? I'll give a small scenario, you will understand. A radar tracks because it pumps the microwave out. Right? You all agree with me? So that microwave goes and hits to the target and comes back, and that is the reason radar gets the target data. And when it comes from a missile, then the radar gets its position, then the commands the counter missiles through interceptor. Interceptor is guided through the same radar again, then both of them are merged together. Then it comes to the interceptor's seeker. Then the seeker is a tiny radar inside the missile. It comes to the zone of targets and then it hits and destroys the target. That is the simple theory of ballistic missile defense. In this whole system, if you want to defunct a country, first thing is to kill the radar. So killing radar is very easy. You know why? Because radar, like a fool, tells its position by pumping the microwave out. So the moment the microwave comes out, it is so easy for any elite, electronic intelligence system to understand from where the radiation is coming. Locate the radiation, you know the direction finding also, that from this particular direction. That is enough. Guide your anti-radiation missiles towards that direction, and that's all. Radar will look at that missile, and that is so fast and so attack that you get inside and kill the radar. Then how do we save ourselves? This is where technology comes into play. If you analyze, because you are all students, why the radar lost its life? Because the radar was pumping power. That's the reason. Can we think of a radar which without pumping power can still track? That's called stealth radar. You'll be very happy to know. As you go down in the frequency, your detection becomes more difficult. And today, we are going to develop, we're almost there, to develop India's first stealth radar on a very different frequency band. And there is something which is called absolute green radar. I'll give you two concepts today. The radar which is called passive radar, which does not release microwave but still track, it will look very crazy for you, but it is a fact. It does. It does with various technologies. One I told you by reducing the frequency is technology number one. There is a second technology with which we make such radars that it does not pump any energy but still it tracks. That's called quantum radar. It's going to be the futuristic radar. Maybe 10 years from now it will come one day. We are already working on such technology. And there is a third radar. I have a very favorite radar of mine. I don't know how many radars we have made, but that radar I have named as green radar. I named it as green radar because green is a symbol of peace and shanti and no emission, so we are zero emission one. It is simply a passive radar. You'll be surprised to know how it works. It works on a very simple theory. There are a lot of HF stations there, right? But from where up to Ghana, HF stations. So it starts throwing a lot of microwaves up. So when your object is tracked, something will go there, reflect and come back to you. Keep your receiver in such a vantage position that it receives all those scattered energy from across those HF stations. We don't care from where it comes. We compute it back and predict and position it. We'll be very proud to know India has made that technology. We have developed that radar, and that radar is already proven. That's going to be the survival kit for our armed forces, where we can track everybody. Nobody will know where we are. These are the very interesting stories. If I keep on talking, I will lose time. I have something to speak for. Okay, friends. If we look at the war, let me tell you, some of the slides I was making yesterday night, crazy about it, so don't go about my sequence. These are certain technologies. I wanted to give a glimpse of it since it is a National Technology Day. What is a war fighting all about? If you critically look at some of the war operations, Sindhu, many people have asked, TV reporters are also asking me about it. Very most important thing in a war, if you look at, is defense. Is it not? Especially for a country like India. Because we are a country, we are not offense people. You all agree? If you look at the history, have we ever attacked any country on our own? We have never done that. We will never do that. Because India is a country of peace, country of love, India is a country of Gautam Buddha, Mother Teresa, what not. But at the same time, are we simple babas that we will sit and say Shanti, Shanti even when the missile comes and hit our head? We are not such fools. You have seen it in Operation Sindhu, what happened. So, what I mean to say is, we don't attack, that does not mean we cannot attack. At the same time, we as a war gaming should understand what is defense. Defense is to protect my country. If 1.4 billion people are having a peaceful sleep in the night today, it is because our soldiers are working at minus 70 degrees centigrade on the borders. That's the reason. So, today if we want to have a peaceful India, first and foremost is we have to be alert. And what is that alert means? That alert means surveillance. You agree? We should know across what's happening. So the first stage of my attack is surveillance. Can somebody help me to get back my screen? I think some VC screens are coming. So, if you can, otherwise it's okay. So, we have to be alert and we have to track. We have to know across which all are coming to us. So, the first step for us is the surveillance. And the surveillance happens, oh my God, that is gone. Okay, fine. So, How we do surveillance? The most important is the radar again, right? You have to have radar, you have to have electronic intelligence, signal intelligence, electro-optics, infrared imagery, all that is required for our surveillance purpose. That means we are alert throughout. And it has to be very, very powerful, strong power aperture radars. Why? Because if you can get the surveillance of your weapon much before, see, it's the time which makes you win the war, right? Otherwise, every fighter will go for a dogfight. Doesn't happen so. We have to know much before which are the attack coming to us. So that is why surveillance is going to be a very, very strong technology which this country needs. And I will be very happy to today we have got my online, but online में एक ही बोल सकते हैं, online को mute करिए please. Okay, thank you. So, if we look at all those developments coming, the most important is again going to be the radars, long range radars, which is going to give you an opportunity to understand, track and learn the enemies or the attacks. Now this is one phase, that is called surveillance. Then as the surveillance happens, the next phase happens to be, if you know that a missile is coming to you, what is your role? So you need to counter the missile, right? You counter the missile, launching a drone, whatsoever. But first, you should have your countermeasures. That is what exactly is called ballistic missile defense. If you talk about a very important mission called Akash, surface to air, it's a short range, क्योंकि सिंदूर में long range की जरूरत नहीं थी. But we have got absolutely long range missiles as well, which can intercept and protect. So there is a varieties of layer of defense which is there to protect the country against the attack. So these are all called the defense part. If the country has got a strong defense, we have something like people talk about Iron Dome of Israel, or they talk about some Golden Dome of America, or Suraksha Kavach which we have added for India. These are all to protect our country. Now, missile alone is not enough. The reason is very simple. Missile is not enough because to counter a missile, you lose a missile. So in my definitions, practically both the countries lose one much missile age, and ultimately we sink in economy. So we are looking forward to the absolute next generation counter-attack, which happens to be from a different domain altogether. Asymmetric warfare, that is called lasers. We work with lasers as a weapon. High powerful laser beam, if you can forward it to your missiles, and if you can have that beam point accuracy, you should be able to defend the missile from the attack. And in the process, you don't lose a missile, you kill a missile, you save your country. That's called the power of technology, the power of surveillance, the power of attack weapon, and most important, the power of economy. Because all that you lose is probably 500 rupees or 100,000 bucks for the laser recharge. That's the kind of a counter-attack system which the technology of future years are going to be. These are all called the power of defense. Now the second row comes to the power of offense. Yes, you cannot keep on saving missiles. You have seen an operation Sindhu whatever. Yes, we don't attack, but if attack comes to us, India also knows how to counterattack. And if you want to counterattack, you can have the same missiles which are coming to you. If you can kill their missiles, they can as well kill your missiles, is it not? Everybody has a technology today. So that's the reason you have to look for certain technologies which nobody has. And in technology of missiles, the most powerful thing which every country could look for is hypersonics. Because as the speed becomes very strong, and as the height becomes low with cruise, your radars will be defunct, your attack time will be very strong, and you are going to reach your destination faster. So our offense are going to be cruise missiles, intercontinental ballistic missile, anti-radiation missiles, anti-satellite missile. What is anti-satellite missile? You all have heard about Mission Shakti Part 2, ASAT, in 2019, when Indian-made missile has destroyed its own satellite to show its power that India can attack the space. And that was the first attempt to be the first country in the world to intercept its own satellite through its own made missile systems. That's the kind of a power India has. And future is going to be space power. The war of future is going to be with the space. When all land, sea, air gets over, the war to war is going to be for the space, because we are all satellite dependent. Our surveillance becomes with the satellite, our connectivity is through the satellites, our TV programs we watch through the satellites, our internet, everything goes through the satellites. So the best attack is, don't attack anybody on the land, because collateral damage is going to be too much. In today's war, nobody wants for collateral damage. So the futuristic war is going to be when we attack the satellites. But friends, I must tell you, I've been a part of Mission Shakti, wherein in 45 days we could make the missiles and we could kill our satellites. But it's absolutely different ballgame. Because when in the ground we fire, when missile defense we fire, yes, our radars are going to control us, then the missile goes nearby, you have got a seeker acquires the target, RPF explodes, radio proximity fuse, and you win the battle. But when it goes to the space, there is no atmosphere, you can do much of the control, you have to be absolute fine precision, and your satellite looks like a speck of dust in the space. Just literally like a speck of dust. And your missile has to be so accurate, it has to go near that speck of dust, pierce through the speck of dust. That's the kind of a challenge which India has done. As a country, we are so confident that the technology has matured so much that we should be able to safeguard all our space assets. That's going to be the future of the war which we have to define. Yeah, if we quickly go through the modern warfare today, cyber war is going to be one of the very, very important wars. I explained a few minutes back. Extended duration war, you all are seeing it. Mere technology or weapon are not going to save you. Your economy should allow you to continue the battle. Technology war, I told you a few minutes back, if I am making a missile of 4,000 kilometers, my capable country makes it to 5,000, I make 6,000. We just show each other how far and how fast and how depth we can conquer the technology. And there is indirect competitive one. The competition happens country to country. Whoever builds the better technology, he will immediately deny that technology to the other countries. Then that gives a trigger to the second country to develop a much better technology. This is how the competition gallops in the international market today. And the most important war again comes to the Silicon War. Why I say Silicon War? Because countries target India. When India didn't have a radar, morning I was explaining somewhere, our radar which were importing from US were choked because India made missiles. When India became capable to make the radar and made 5,000 kilometer missiles, then the basic blocks of the radars were choked by the foreign countries. And today our Indian industries, academicians and DRDO together could design all those basic modules. Whether you talk about Curtiss-Wright's processor, whether you talk about converters, you talk about power amplifiers, talk about TR modules, all of them has been designed and developed by the Indian industry, and we are capable to make the radar with our own component, with our own system, with our own blocks. This is what your director was highlighting. The toughest thing is the components. When component level the choking comes, even if we have got the best of the technology, we cannot make the systems. That's why I say, even up to FPGA, we are getting it, and we are developing. The day is not far when FPGA will be banned. Silicon piece will be banned in India. So our system should be so strong that if that situation happens eventually, we should be able to prepare with our own indigenous system. Hats up to Honorable Prime Minister's India Semiconductor Mission, that even we are targeting that last mile when the silicon is choked, India can still win the technology. That's the kind of technology. And I will conclude this slide with the last one, which is called a self-actuation war. This is my favorite war. I'll tell you why. We made a mission that Indian war will be fought with Indian weapon by Indian Jawans. Remember, that weapon is not designed by the Jawans. That weapon is designed by somebody else. That Jawan has to trust that weapon. Trust the ability and devastations and the accuracy of that weapon, which he is not a contributor. Yet, he has to fight the war where 1.4 billion people look for a win. And like I say, in any war, there is no runners-up. Either you win or you perish. So when you have to fight such kind of a war, and you have to trust the weapon, which you have not designed yourself, yet you have to still fight. Imagine how much of the self-confidence is required by every armed forces to use those systems. So this puts a phenomenal responsibility on designers like you and me, that we design the world's best system. The manufacturer and developers like industries, who use every single component not to save money, to save the pride of this country. That we make the best of the systems which the armed forces are going to trust upon. And when the armed forces come out from their heart, that yes, this weapon I am releasing today, whether it is BrahMos or Akash or anything for that matter, that I trust this weapon, that it is going to intercept the missile and save my nation. That is called the self-actuation war, where they build the confidence within themselves. आत्मविश्वास इतनी बुलंद होनी चाहिए अपने वेपन पर कि वह हर हालत पर जीती देगा. ये जब आता है देश में, तभी देश जीता है. Today's world is a digital battlefield. You all know that every war happens on a computer systems. Everyone happens in the war game room. Every cyber attack happens in your laboratory without getting into the battlefield. So all our software professionals, all our strong cyber guys should be strong enough. Don't develop softwares of the Silicon Valley and arm learners. That will give you nothing. That will give you nothing, I want to tell you today. Just today morning, one interview question that news reporter was asking me, what is your advice to the IIT students? I said, very simple advice I have got. Yes, no doubt they have spent money to buy books, go to the coaching centers to earn the seat. But that money which they spent is a minuscule against what trust 1.4 billion people have when an IIT graduate enters into this college. That you come out to develop such technology where my country will have a pride that I am the one leader. Friends, while leaving this institute, don't forget this commitment to go out and earn dollars. Somebody said, our professor said Kalam had a doubt. Yes, Kalam had a strong doubt. A gold medalist of 1987 can never stay back in this country. Today with pride I tell you, I would have been probably a multi-billionaire in the United States, but nobody would have looked at me because every third fellow would have been a multi-billionaire there. If I am here, I have spent my 57 years to contribute for my country, and 1.4 billion people love me. No dollar can buy this. And that's why we are. Cyber warfare, I have explained you. Space warfare, I have already explained you. The other day I was in Russia. I'll tell you, we are having a very, very important topic to discuss. That today the technology has gone so mesmerizing. I'll tell you, you'll be thrilled about it. You have got a satellite of your own. A foreign satellite comes near you. From that satellite, one extended robotic arm comes out. It goes close to your satellite, pulls your satellite and throws apart in space. It's not a story, it's a reality. That much the technologies have gone forward. But friends, if you have to do that, two things. Yes, we can protect that rogue fellow by launching our anti-satellite missiles, no doubt about it. But for that, first you should know that there is a satellite coming in. How do you know that? That is called SSA, Space Situational Awareness. Deep space radar for thousands of kilometers you have to plan. You have to deploy all across the latitudes so that at every moment we become vigilant about what is happening across in the farther space, that we win the space war. Remember my statement today, days is not far where every battle will be fought in the space, no more in the cross borders. These are all the technologies for the space warfare. Exoskeleton happens to be another very, very important one. I think you are familiar with this technology, that our soldiers with their body mind cannot fight the war alone. So we empower them with additional weapons, additional technology, additional systems, great communication equipments, AI and MLs and whatnot. Yeah, one slide is my favorite slide, so I will take a little bit on that. Why should we stop import and have the self-reliance? Yes, to make India, very important is to make India free from export control. Because I remember when we were importing systems from US, when I launched Agni, they said that I will give you systems provided you sign up that you can't make technology or missiles beyond 300 kilometers. That's a promise we made first with 290 because it is a Russian agreement. But the fact is, Indian brains are the most powerful brain. Will you like to be controlled by somebody else? If you want to have your free brain, you should have your own technology. Of course, you can say if you make India as a world leader, you can have next generation systems, because if you import systems, you cannot develop the next systems. If you design your own systems, as you learn, you can explore, you can make better, you can empower your industries and startup. The Indian economy together grows. You have seen 75% of the defense consumption is from Indian industries. Imagine how much of the economic growth India has today. You can have a price control. This is very, very important. I gave a very interesting example the other day. The radar which was 50 crores, one country was chatting us. The moment I made a radar which is better than that, mine was 20 crores, he started quoting 18 crores. This is what is the whole fight of the price across. I made a system of $100 which I was importing, and the moment getting made that system, that cost has come down to $10. So what we pay abroad is not the price. They fool us because we don't have the technology. And the moment you have a technology, you can command the price of the whole world. And you can never become a world leader if you import. So you have to have your own systems. If India has to be a global leader in technology, you can build a strong ecosystems, whether it is industries, academia, startups, all of them you can take forward with a supply chain. And most important is you become technology independent. You are not controlled by anybody. What you think, what you imagine, what you dream, you can produce. And the most important thing, you can enhance the export. Today we made the BrahMos, we made Akash, we made anti-drone systems. All the world is after us to take those systems. I had a very important quote from none other than United States. The anti-drone systems, which I was leading that program in record time of 24 months, we made the systems. तब मैंने नहीं सोचा था कि कभी ऑपरेशन सिंदूर होगा. But हमने उसको industries को दिया, and so many products have come, and many of them are deployed, and you can be Very, very happy to know not a single drone could succeed to enter into the Indian clan because the anti-drones have killed the people. That's the data has come from me where United States that says the Indian anti-drone system has proved how devastating they are in Operation Sindoor. We will love to have that. This is called reversal of the threat. We were getting from United States is getting to get systems from. Of course, there will be a lot of generation of employment. Self-reliance in defense, I am not going to read the histories. This is what DRDO has done. DRDO ने क्या किया ये बोलने के लिए मैं यहाँ नहीं आया क्योंकि मेरा एक बड़ा प्यार भरा डायलॉग होता है. ये बात इतिहास पढ़ने का नहीं है, ये बात इतिहास रचाने का है. तो पुराना चीज these are all the clusters. We do very great things. We have done missiles, we have done fighter reactors. All these things are on the internet. You can see that. These are the major systems which have given to the armed forces. You all have seen it. Many of them have been deployed also. When it comes to the basic technologies of radars, yesterday I was in Indian Institute of Technology, ISN Anbar. Lot of requirements they have told me. I never thought that they are still importing those tiny radars which we can just make like peanuts. Of course, we are making much bigger radars today. So India, if we talk about radars, we are the country who can make any kind of radar you can dream of. It is not a simple statement to make it from such cars. We have the technology, we have the depth, we have the penetration capability. Today we have made radar right from submarine up to the synthetic aperture radar onto the space. That's the power of India so far as radar is concerned. Electronic warfare is another very fantastic topic. You all know future warfare is going to be electronic warfare. No missiles is going to be launched in future. You are going to blind the opponent's radars, opponent's elimination systems by pumping high power microwaves to them. That's called electronic warfare jamming. There is elite and common systems. I think India is very strong on electronic warfare today. A series of electronic warfare systems has already been developed and deployed. Communications is the nerve center of any war. I think all of you will agree with me. If we don't know what's happening, if we don't get the data of every corner, we are practically going to lose the war then and there. So a very strong communication network with software-defined radios, with deep space satellite communications network, all that has been developed and designed by DRDO. Electro-optics are strong systems. Directed energy weapon is what I was talking about a few minutes back. Laser as a weapon. Nobody could ever think of. Yes, we use laser for microsurgery, we use laser for very precision surgery. I think we are inside the body parts. We never thought a laser can do the surgery of a missile. Today, we are able to do, and our laser systems are deployed across the border. It's a 2 kilowatt laser, which could absolutely devastate the drones by making it into fire in a few seconds. That's the kind of a power India has got, and today India has gone up to 30 kilowatt lasers. I think very recently we showed that experiment, but I've seen my interviews across the TV that India has become one of the powers in the directed energy weapons of lasers. It is just the beginning, the road ahead, a lot needs to be done further. Just to give you an idea, I'm not very much believing in the statistics, but nearly 4 lakh crore of the order value which has been given to the Indian industries. It's not a small figure, friends. 4 lakh crores our Indian industries are developing for us. Okay, I'm only a designer. DRDO does only R&D. Entire systems are manufactured by Indian industries. But I'll give you a simple trick. बच्चों को पता नहीं होगा कि मेरा simple हिसाब है. जो प्राइस हिंदुस्तान में चीज बनता है ना, उसको अगर लीगली आप इंपोर्ट करोगे तो 3 गुना लगता है. लीगली मतलब जब इनको पता नहीं होता कि हम उसको बनाते हैं. 3 times. So it is 4 lakh crore is practically 12 lakh crores which we could stop our import. But that's not all. It's only the beginning. Because import का सबसे बड़ी खतरनाक जो होता है, it is different. I told you, a 50 crores radar, they brought it down to 18 crores. Why? वक्त मिलता तो शायद मुझे वो फ्री में भी दे देते. क्योंकि पहला नशा फ्री में दिया जाता है. उसके बाद आपको पता है, ये एक नशा है. This is what every country tries to play with us. Because they know, Indian audit system always we say taxpayers' money, we have to have absolutely L1 which we have to buy for, why a foreign system will be cheaper and why Indian system is costly. No Indian system is ever costly than a foreign system. Can you ever imagine that? It is just a deflated figures which they show to capture us. So that is the reason you have to want to control our price. The moment you buy the radar in 18 crores, आप सोचे कि 2 करोड़ आपने बचा लिया, पर हिंदुस्तान उसमें डूब जाता है. Because tomorrow when you get that radar, कोई एक radar नहीं खरीदता है, 1000 radar खरीदता है, 100 radar खरीदता है. And tomorrow if you want to make that radar as a missile enabled radar, उसके लिए सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए. हो गया फिर दूसरा लेवल अपना शायद. उसी के पास आप जाओगे because they will never give you the software code. And then they will tell you, you pay us 100 crores to incorporate this software. आप 1000 करोड़ का radar फेंकोगे या 100 करोड़ फेंकोगे? यही होता है तरीका. This is what is called international gambling, in which India will never fall a prey. So that's the reason we go so strong for our foreign systems. I have to wind up in another 10 minutes, otherwise I'll miss my flight. So future warfare scenario, materials, soldiers, systems, network, these are all critical technologies. I am trying to list it out. This was the last minute slide for me. If we talk about a fighter aircraft, आसमान में उड़ता है तो हम ताली लगाते हैं कि चलो इंडिया जीत जाता है. But you never know how much of the technology gets imbibed to make a fighter aircraft. Today morning somebody was asking me for that. The higher mobility, the improved jamming resistance, phased array antenna technology for the radars, I mean, so on and so forth, the plethora of technology which needs to be matured by a country if you want to make your own fighter aircrafts. And you'll be very happy to know India has its own fighter aircraft called LCA, Tejas, LCA Mark 1, Mark 1 Alpha. Now today we are making Mark 2. Tomorrow we are going to make Stealth, the 5th generation fighter aircrafts, wherein it will be invisible aircrafts in the sky. That's the kind of a power India is roaring so far as fighter aircraft is concerned. These are different typical war scenarios I wanted to make it for you. These are all future war is going to happen. So your weapons, your technology, your devastating attacks all have to be aligned with what the world needs you for tomorrow. This is the entire space ground. Today morning somewhere one question I was getting, that all these signal intelligence you are doing it on the ground, on the air. How is it when it happens with the satellite? Fantastic, future is going to be that. All your war is going to be fought with satellites. Your radar will be on the satellites. Your camera will be on the satellites, your telescopes will be on the satellites, your signal system will be on the satellites. So this is going to be the future of the warfare, and that's the reason we attack the space. And of course, this is most important, which is called the swarm of drones. Recently, आप लोगों ने इतना देखा, कितने drone attack कर रहे थे हमारे ऊपर, because this is what is going to be the future generating warfare. 1000 रुपये में drone मिलता है, 100 रुपये में उसमें मसाला डाल दो और छोड़ दो, हो गया कहानी खत्म. आप कितना भी मिसाइल बनाओ, उसमें से 1000 आएंगे तो आप क्या करोगे? So your technology has to be such that it is going to defund all of them. I am triggering the young mind here that you have to think, how do you come out of such attacks? This is digital soldier, I have explained to you already. This is going to be the futuristic warfare systems. Fighter aircrafts with integrated sensor suite, whether it's coming to AES radar, if you talk about EW systems, if you talk about infrared subject track systems, missile approach warning systems, software defined radio, these are all going to be the ornaments for the fighter aircrafts, which is going to be its assets to make it devastating on the sky. Of course, to do that, DRDO opens its arm to work with academic institutions. For a very simple reason, DRDO does not exist without academics. All this great thing, the soft landing of the moon, Professor is sitting right here, Professor Adakan Padi. We were all struggling how to have a South Pole smooth landing. Hats off to the control programs. So without Professor Gosha, who has been my guru for the missile control, and all the missile controls we learned from them. So without professors, without academics, DRDO does not exist. So we open the Center of Excellence across leading institutions to create that culture within, so that the young mind come, work, we throw open the problem challenges, then the students come there and work. We of course do phenomenal funding. Funding is not a problem for DRDO, but what is more important, to attract the young mind to take those challenges and develop such systems which nobody in the world would ever think of. These are all our kind of things. Materials is going to be a very, very important future definitions of the war. A few minutes back I explained to you about stealth. A stealth aircraft can be made provided it cannot be tracked by the radar. It cannot be tracked by the radar provided it is made of radar observing material. It is called RAM. Reshaping materials that the entire configuration of a missile changes as it attacks, so that your entire missile's image processing fails to detect your attack missiles. So material is another area which is going to define the future of the war. Future radars, airborne radars, radars made of drone. This is a very, very critical challenge I have thrown upon to the academics as well as to the startups. The drones are happening across as a kamikaze drone carrying the propellants or maybe carrying the devastations and all that. Can you make some drone which can form an array in the sky and each one of them becomes a radar tier module? It creates a beautiful AES radar for me, and it pumps so much of energy in the sky, and the moment the missile comes near, it completely disintegrates, vanishes in the sky. That's the kind of a warfare, that's the kind of a futuristic radar I am looking up to, friends, from all of you. We are working this, nobody in the world has it this now, and probably the day we make, India will be the world leader in invisible radar, which I am confident will make it happen. These are for the EW also, the similar systems which we are working forward. Lots and lots on EW, electronics warfare, sensor technology, radomes. Radomes are going to be very, very important challenges for the future. You understand what is called radome? It protects the aircrafts from the front, inside which our system works, and of course thermal technologies. Similarly, for communications, there is a huge, huge challenge ahead with all class of data links. It's the network-centric warfare which is going to happen in future. You will have your aircrafts on the sky, you will have your radars on the ground, you will have your missiles on the sky, you will have your elite system on the space. All of them them should be able to talk to each other, and the entire data should come down to the control center for processing. So communication is the nerve center for all that, and this is of course direct energy weapon and the laser. I have explained you this, and this is very important on the electronic shield or Suraksha Kavach, which I was telling you. People most understand it when I say that word which I hate. That's called Iron Dome, because we still follow Israelis. This is something which protects your country with absolute electro-optic shields, that any attack comes, it detects it from hundreds of kilometers away. Pinpoint accuracy finds out where the missile is coming, commands the missile center to release the counter missile and destroys it on the space. That's the kind of a technology to protect our critical assets we are working today. And having said all that, multi-sensor data fusion, I think I will be working on this kind of programs. There are so many sensors. I told you in a fighter aircraft, there will be a radar, there will be EW, there will be electro-optics, there will be infrared search and track, there will be missile approach warning, all of them together. And a fighter, when he fights a battle, he has got a split second to decide. He is a human like you and me, right? He is not a robot. Can he decide? So what we need to do is we have to converse all those data together and serve it like a salad, mix up all foods, so that it just looks at the plates and wins it up. That's what, in a simple word, multi-sensor data fusion we are working. Internet of military things, this is going to be the future of the technology today. India is looking forward to. Digital twin, this is a very, very important concept. I think most of you might be already working here. That today, if I make a radar, I need a fighter aircraft to prove it. Which country will afford to have so many fighter aircrafts to prove so many sensors in sky? So can we cut down the utilization of fighter aircrafts by doing certain strong simulations? That's exactly what is called digital twin. We create a fighter aircraft, invisible, put our radars there, do all the testings, qualify the radar. After everything gets ready, we do the actual fire. Smart C5 ISR, this is going to be absolutely the next generation requirement. I think you know all that, I will not spend much on that. Of course, a lot of industry enablement, we do it. We release technology development fund. It's an open challenge to anybody that if you have got a great idea, if you are a startup, if you are an industry, write it to me. We fund up to 10 crores and today we have enhanced it to 50 crores per system. And many companies are coming and working with us. And if you can really develop, money will not be your limit as well. We at DRDO are there to support you. Dare to dream is a very, very important challenge. Any one of you, 1.4 billion Indian has a dare to dream. And if the dream of a great system, a great technology which our defense forces needs, write it to us. If you are selected as one of the great ideas, we are going to award you, we are going to fund you, we are going to hold you connected with industries that they translate your idea to the product and that product goes to the market. So like that, unlimited opportunities DRDO has. Look at the technology development fund, how it is growing. We are really going to support our this thing through that. Dare to dream was also there. Already Dare to dream 1.0 over, 2.0, 3.0, now 4.0. You see so many individuals, so many startups are participating and so many winners are there. This is a great opportunity for all of you to think that what we can do it. This is a long-term directed research. 285 projects already we have executed at different IITs. And I am very happy to say that this IIT, I myself have given about 10 projects to start with, and very happy that most of those projects are doing fantastic job. And sooner we realize these projects and come forward, maybe God willing we'll have a center of excellence here as well. So this is all is going to be the defense growth in future. As our growth increases, our budget also increases, 2.53 in 13-14. Today it is going to be 6.81. That's the kind of a lakh crore we are working forward. And this is what shows our self-reliance in defense. So India is going to be a global defense manufacturing hub. That global, it is not only Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is global because all the countries beyond India are looking forward to India to deliver them the weapon systems for the future. So this is a small SWOT analysis, this I was doing yesterday night. A SWOT analysis we do in a management for anybody, any company, any industry. For India I was doing it. India's strength is the large and the growing defense budget, skilled workforce, DRDO, government initiatives, growing defense production, rising exports. What is the weakness? Weakness is still we have a desire to import. Why this desire to import has come? Desire to import has come because we have to trust our system. Our industry should be able to scale up their production value, that whatever armed forces needs, they should be able to. We can't launch a beautiful missile today and tomorrow look for our kitty whether the next missile is available. So our industry bandwidth also must increase for that. Lot of ecosystems has to build for that, and okay, our process is tough, so we have to come out of the process, and of course our product needs to be standardized. That is something which India misses on this, that is our weakness. Opportunities is Atmanirbhar Bharat, Viksit Bharat, national deep tech startup policies, TDF, I told you, Dare to Dream, these are our threat. The competition from other nations, always it is there. And also cyber security, we have to be very, very careful about our cyber security because our entire knowledge base stays there. And of course, lot of indigenous semiconductor manufacture and the component, which your director was highlighting, I was highlighting for you. So this is my personal SWOT analysis for India. We'll soon come out of our opportunities, our weaknesses and our threats, and I think we'll be further a stronger nation. Now I'll conclude with my two of the favorite slides. Exactly, I have 5 minutes until 5:30 I will complete. Every leading country has a classic approach towards becoming a defense superpower. I think no country copies another country to become superpower, right? Copy करोगे आप जीत नहीं पाओगे. बच्चों को भी बोल रहा हूँ. सबका इनोवेशन होना चाहिए, क्रिएटिविटी होना चाहिए, अपने तरीका होना चाहिए. तभी आप जीत सकते हो दुनिया का किसी भी जंग. So you should have a very classic style to approach that nobody can predict. I'll just make it little interesting. For me, classic is not just a word. I was analyzing what does classic mean for me, and I think this slide will be my tribute for the National Technology Day. My C stands for creativity for communications, covert communications, combat preparedness, convergence of technology, cyber war, cognitive system, command, communication, and control. These are the plethora of technology for my C. What does L stand for? Loitering munition, you all know about it, kamikaze drones. Laser as a DRDO, I explained you just now. Long range hypersonic cruise missile, that also I explained. Leader autonomous weapon systems called LAUCH. The future war is going to be the battle of autonomy, let me tell you. We will not find a war with fighter pilot inside. Soon you are going to have unmanned fighters in the sky. You are going to have unmanned tank on the Registan, and you are to have a fight without any man in the loop. So that is why autonomy is going to be the future. So what does A stands for? Artificial intelligence, we all talk about. Asymmetric warfare, anti-access, anti-denial, augmented reality and virtual reality. Additive manufacturing is going to be the futuristic technology. Analytics and video and data, active denial system, and most important, automated robot torrents and autonomous system. They are going to decide and fight the war. What does my S stands for? Now you all can guess actually. Stealth system is going to win the war. I told you AMCA is going to the stealth. Sustainability is very important, which is going to win the war. Economy and sustainability. Every third day you cannot change your weapon. जैसे आप मोबाइल फेंकते हो ना हर तीसरा दिन, ऐसा वेपन नहीं फेंक सकते हम देश में, क्योंकि किसी भी वेपन 2-4 नहीं खरीदा जाता जैसे आप मोबाइल खरीदते हो. We purchase in stacks to maintain the necessity for the wartime. So if there is a system, sustainability of that system is most important. And swarming technology is going to define the future of the war. Why? Swarm of drone, I think all of you have seen it. How they create devastation. What does the next S stands for? Space militarization. I explained it just now. The future war is going to be the space war. System of systems is going to be the war of future. Single radar or a single missile will not work. Your famous Iron Dome which you talk about, Raksha Kavach which I was explaining you, is a system of systems. You have got a radar, you have got sonars, you have got electro-optics, you have got a missile, you have got a drone, you have got anti-drone. All that put together creates a real warfare. Smart materials is going to be the future of the warfare again. Just now I explained you, smart material is going to decide the course of the war. Software-defined satellites and regenerative payloads. This is again going to define the future course of war. What does I stand for? ISR, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance. Image intelligence, integrated air defense systems, you have all seen it. ISCCS, how it works. So apt and so fantastic in Operation Sindhu. Information warfare is going to be most important in future because war will be fought with information desk. Industry 5.0. They are going to decide the future of any war because if industry is not prepared, the country is not prepared. Internet of military things, somewhere I showed you just now, this is going to be the future of the war, and immersive technology. This is going to decide the future course of the war. What does Q stands for? I think you all can guess it. Quantum and photonics are going to be the future of the war. Quantum technology is going to decide how the country is going forward. What does U stands for? Unmanned systems and untrusted system. Unmanned system, as I explained you just now. What is untrusted system? Untrusted system is something that you have given a weapon to the soldier and soldier does not trust that weapon but still fight and he wins the war. Trusting a system and winning the war is easy. Not trusting a system and yet winning the war is the most challenging way to win the war. Make your system such that even nobody trusts that, it still makes its job the one which country looks forward to. And the last one is very easy to guess for all of you. E stands for electronic warfare, electromagnetic pulse weapon systems and countermeasures, and engines for the fighter. So this is my explanation for classic. And if any country is classic, they are the winner. I will conclude, friends, with my last slide. If we want to be a global leader, I think INA has to play a role. I have come here with the capability and the capacity of the INA. Let us understand what INA means. India leads when I stands for industry. If my industry power is with me, India will be a global leader. What does N stands for? Nascent forces, unseen forces. Who are they? My startups, my micro and small scale industries who are invisible in the bigger industrial ecosystems today. But they are the people with that small product which they develop in terms of disruptive technology, which nobody in the world could do that. And those are the components which are going to make my futuristic weapon systems to win the war. What does A in stands for? Academia. Without you, I don't exist. Without you, no country can ever dream of winning the war. And of course, E, all of you. There are engineers to make everything happen and convert any systems. Thank you so much, friends. That's all I am. Thank you so much. May God bless you. And what I told you, remember the passion within you. Somebody told me today, a couple of professors, when I entered into director's chamber, said that he is very young. I said, young and old comes from here. It not comes from the biological age. Many people, mathematically below 35, are old of 80s because they have given up in their life. Many people at 80 are the young public below 35 because they have the kill, they have the thrill, and they have the zeal. That makes you young, and India is young, all of you are young. Let us try to create India in the future. God bless you. Thank you so much. Love you all. Jai Hind. Jai Hind.
Now you can see why I come here. I am very sure that all of you must have enjoyed the talk, and if you did not come here, probably you would have missed a lot. But having said that, probably this talk is recorded and on that part I don't know, maybe it is available, not available for you. It is recorded. So I know he has a flight to catch at 7:50, so he has to go a little early. But having said that, I also kind of convinced him that he can leave a little bit later. So about a few questions you can take, but it will be moderated, not open flow sort of thing. Just raise your hand, then we will ask you. The mics are there.
Your question I have to answer. Sorry, I promised you. Sardaji. जो बोले सो निहाल।
सत श्री अकाल।
सत श्री अकाल। क्या बात है? आपका सवाल था ऑपरेशन सिंदूर करना था या नहीं करना?
यस सर।
आराम से समझाऊंगा मैं।
You can use your mic.
चाहे मेरा फ्लाइट मिस हो जाए पर आपको समझाने का। India is a country who loves peace. भारत को शांति चाहिए। अगर शांति को भारत में रखना है तो एक भी जंग लड़ने के लिए इंडिया पीछे नहीं हटता। जो चीज सबके सामने होगा उसको अगर हमें दुनिया को बताना है कि हमें हमारे लोगों की फिक्र है, सिर्फ शांति बोल के फिक्र नहीं दिखा सकते। स्ट्रेंथ कमांड स्ट्रेंथ एंड इट इज नेसेसरी फॉर इंडिया टू शो टू द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड that this is what is Indian power, this is what is Indian devastation capability, not of India, Indian designed weapon systems. ये तो टेस्टिंग है जो मैं रोज करता था इंडिया में। मिसाइल उड़ाया और दुनिया को दिखाया कि हमारा मिसाइल का प्रिसिशन कितना है। ये नहीं कि हमने स्ट्राइक करना चाहते थे, हमने प्रिसिशन दिखाया, हमने पावर दिखाया, हमने टेक्नोलॉजी दिखाया और दुनिया को ये दिखाया कि हिंदुस्तान के पास ताकत है और हिंदुस्तान छोड़ नहीं रहा।
If you talk about autonomous cars today, imagine how many years back the missiles were already autonomous. So think about all that, and of course there are so many applications of all this advanced technology, classic technology, right? It covers almost everything. So tons of applications of civilian etc. He wants to ask a question. Turn on your mic and ask. Want to ask a question?
Questions should not be more than 5 words. Answer will be 10 words.
That is the challenge.
That is the commitment.
Okay, ask your question.
So I'll just say 10 words.
Okay.
Yes, sir, thank you for the talk. So, as I'm from Niger and I work in semiconductors. So, as you know, when we look at Western nations, we see General Electric companies like Lockheed Martin working at the very forefront of defense technology. In India, that ecosystem is still developing. So, as an aspiring, let's say, defense scientist or a defense engineer, should we aspire to go into government institutions like DRDO? or is it better at this stage to maybe make a startup or join the public defense industry? Like, what is the different opportunities available right now?
Okay. Don't think that I have come from DRDO, that I have come to attract you to join DRDO. Okay. See, just because I am from DRDO, I have not come here to attract you that you all join DRDO. No, answer is no. Join DRDO if your passion drives to work through DRDO for the country. Then only you join DRDO. If your passion drives that you create on your own, on your startup and contribute to our defense forces, start your time. Follow your passion, chase your dream, make my India the dream.
Sir, can I ask a question? I'm speaking from wireless. I'm speaking from Bombay.
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, you talked about stealth systems. Okay. So now I have read it 2 days or 3 days back. China is selling stealth aircraft to Pak. So stealth aircraft deflect the radar waves in different directions, so it doesn't come back to you. In such a case, when an equipment is coming towards you, how do you detect it and how do you take evasive action or destroy it?
Okay. That's very simple. See, it is a story of technology. So when we talk about stealth, something which is invisible in the optical spectrum becomes visible in microspectrum. When something is not visible in one frequency of a microwave, it will be visible in another frequency. All that you need to know is to have your intelligent radar system within, which should be able to keep toggling the frequencies to detect in particular area where you are going to get your reflections. This is one of the simple systems that I am explaining if you want to defy your RAM. And more than that, we have got the contemporary counter systems, not radar alone. I will not be able to explain all those technologies today. That if one technology fails, we have a competitive counter technology to understand that there is a stealth attack. And the moment it happens, we have got our counter missiles equally powerful, that they should be able to be thoroughly guided by such radars and homing on actions. That is what India is working on today. However, it's a war of technology. If I detect one stealth today, tomorrow that stealth definition will change in the fighter aircrafts to have second technology tomorrow. This race continues. We work towards that. Thank you so much, sir.
If Pakistan is already getting these aircraft, do we have these systems, whatever you have described now very, very nicely? Do we already have it to be able to counter it?
Actually, so many things I explained. Many of them we have it. Most of them, what we have it, I didn't explain much because the idea was I didn't want to tell history. What we are going to have it is some of the technologies which are triggered for. I really do not know which one you are talking about. Most of them definitely we have, but many of them we are going to have soon. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Anybody else here or online? Just 2 more questions. Anybody here?
Yes, please.
You can talk to the mic.
Sit down and ask. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful presentation.
Thank you.
So I want to know that the defense shield of India, DRDO, does it covers all the major cities or only the selected cities?
Yeah, that's a question that's pretty difficult for me to answer because those are called deployment configurations. What I explained to you here, basically the technology what we have. Now when we defend a particular critical infrastructure, what all to be protected, that is decided by somebody else, not me. So I cannot answer you that, but definitely India is ready and prepared and India is safe. You don't have to worry about it. Yes, one question. Yes, please.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Sir, in this war exercise, Sindhu, which weapon, as per your feedback, S-400 or Akash Defense, who is more reliable and who played the role much better?
जब क्रिकेट मैच होता है ना और भारत जीतता है, आगे बोलो, आप समझ गए? It's a team which won. It's India which won.
Quite constantly. So we have got the final formalities of formal board of science and stop here.
Who is director of
and music chairman of NIT Jaipur as well as IIIT Gujarat. So let us welcome Dr. Mohammed Barpanda, who is one of the very distinguished scientists in atomic energy and right now in other organized system. Thank you very much.
Chief guest, we now proceed to felicitate Dr. Binay by IMAE for his contributions and inspiring insights.
Thank you, sir. I know that we are running out of time. I think we will complete the session by conveying our sincere thanks and gratitude to you for highlighting us about the technology, the importance of the technology in warfare, self-reliance, futuristic radar systems, and Suraksha Govt and much more. And thanks so much, sir, for your time and spending valuable time with us. And I also take this opportunity to thank our director, sir, for encouraging and supporting all the time, for conducting such very interesting and important events. Thank you, sir. I also thank IMAE Bhubaneswar chapter and its chairman, Professor Acharya, and other staff office bearers for choosing this institute for conducting National Technology Day, distinguished lecture 4 here. Thank you so much. I also sincerely thank CIT team, engineering section, transportation team, and all other departments for providing all needful support and excellent support. Thank you so much. My thanks to media persons as well, and a big thanks to all departments who are present here. And we will conclude this by the national anthem.